Hey guys, Lukas here. Okay, so Philip from Tweener had reached out to me and asked me if I can answer a couple of questions. I said yes, so let's see what he got for me. But first, couple of disclaimers. Questions were sent to me in advance as a separate video. So this is not your typical instant response interview. Basically, I had some time to think about my answers and choose my words. And of course, all answers are my own opinion, and I might not be correct 100% of the time. All right, so we have two angles today, 1 and 2. So let's go.
Hey, Lukas. I really appreciate you doing this for me. I just have a couple questions for you in terms of your recent tweets and what's been going on lately with the players and tennis in general, because it seems like there has been a lot of talk of what goes on behind the scenes and the transparency between players, lower ranked players, and the organizations itself. So I just have about 5 to 7 questions for you regarding your opinions and what you've been tweeting recently. So I think the first question I have for you is, what is your role with the player council and these Zoom calls?
Okay, so my role within council is basically none, because I'm not a member. As I know, player council currently consists of 12 members, and these members are elected by us players. I think it's every 2 years. And then player council basically tries to come up with some ideas how to help and improve our sport. But final decisions are made higher. So if you go higher, then we have board of directors comprised of chairman, 3 tournament reps, and 3 player reps. Player reps are elected by player council, of course. So this group of 15 people makes decisions on behalf of all players, and we players, we can reach out to these members and ask questions if we are interested in something, or if you want to give input or feedback or whatever. But I think it was always like, hey guys, feel free to contact us, we are here for you. So basically players had to be active if they wanted to know anything new. Many times, not always, I didn't know what was going on. I mean, what was cooking. I didn't have any updates unless I asked. So yeah, Zoom call. I was just observer, and of course during Q&A I had a lot of questions, as everybody else there had.
My second question. Have these calls been helpful for you personally and for other players that you have talked to maybe about the situation that's currently happening?
So it was just one call, and this never happened before. And I guess like normally we have meetings, right? And in this situation, it was not possible to organize meetings. So that's why there was this Zoom call. But honestly, I didn't know what to expect because how it was presented. We got email marked as strictly confidential, and I didn't feel much positivity from that email. It was nothing like, hey guys, we have good news. It was more like we are in search for solution. We are trying to find solution. So even I thought that they might cancel whole season or whatever. So we got that email on 1st of June or close to, saying that there will be Zoom call for player schedule on 10th of June. But the next day, USTA went public with details that They want to host 2 events in New York City back to back. Of course, I'm talking about Cincinnati. Cincinnati moved to New York prior to US Open. So I guess there were already some discussions going on between USTA and ATP. And USTA proposal was so bad that ATP knew that they couldn't make a decision behind closed doors, and they had urged to inform players and take direct input from players. I'm talking here about no qualification at the US Open. Doubles draw down from 64 to 24. No fans. Only player plus one team member. Then you have travel issues, testing, no locker rooms, etc. So if this call was helpful, of course it was. I mean, we learned a lot of things. We learned that business is very important for this sport. You have TV contracts and you can't move even because you have other major sports later. You also have sponsors and partners with their own worth and interest. So it's very difficult. On the other hand, you have us tennis players, and we have also our own concerns and complaints. And mainly safety is most important thing at this time. So there has to be some kind of balance. And basically a whole presentation, which was around 45 minutes. Then it was 3 hours Q&A. But that 45 minutes long presentation, I had feeling that it was strictly business related. And when Q&A started, they started to notice that how many holes this plan has. You have business people on one side and you have players on other side, and we can't live without each other. I mean, without players there are no tournaments, and without tournaments we are not getting paid. And because basically we are freelancers. So in the end, we can complain, but when money talks and when good money is on the table, basically we are forced to come if we like it or not, because otherwise nobody will pay us. And whole Q&A was only complaints and concerns, not a single positive reaction. I mean, at least it was my feeling. And I have to say, majority of players were either outside top 100 or doubles players. And USTA came up with the plan for top 100 players. So you could feel anger or disappointment, I would say. So I thought, okay, they heard our opinions, so maybe they can start to negotiate something better. But instead, we got the answer that, hey guys, we have 5 days for decision. So, and it was not 5 days, more like 3 days, because you had weekend ahead. And the question is, what you can change in this period of time. In the end, they made a couple of changes, but very minor, and basically the whole proposal stayed exactly same as expected. And my conclusion on this call is that it happened too late. It happened too late, and it showcased how bad or how not good communication within ATP is. So I think we learned something.
Question number 3. Have you learned anything about tennis during this pandemic that you didn't know before? Some things that have come up that you've never really paid attention to, but since you've had the time during the pandemic and this downtime that you've had, have you learned anything about tennis itself and the way it works during this time?
All right. I learned a couple of things. First, that this sport works when everything else is working. Then something happens and okay, this is extreme situation that this never happened before. So, anyway, all of a sudden you have hundreds of players with no income, and our organization can't come up with some kind of safety plan or safety fund. Okay, there is one. I think it was $6 million, but it was split with WTA, and so basically you got 3 millions, right? For 400 players with 6 months of no income. And we have 4 Grand Slams, each having a revenue around 300 millions. And ATP has also some personal sponsors and partners, and they came up with fund of 3 millions. And even then, players had to be within some conditions to receive this help. I think it was around $8K US per player, but $8K for 6-month long period. You do the math. This is just my opinion, but I have a feeling that they could do better than this. But yeah, hey, it could be nothing also, because this was not duty for ATP, and this was optional. But still, I have a feeling that they could do better than this. Maybe I'm just ranting too much. Second thing is more personal, and I thought that I will miss tennis after a short period of time. I mean, when this COVID situation started, I think everybody had to stop, and I liked it in the beginning because I never had season finishing in Paris. I always played my home tournament next week and then +1 after that. So I always finished my season middle of November, then took like 10 to 14 days off, and then I had to start basically preparation for next season. So I was enjoying this physical and mental vacation, and I thought that after like a month or so I will start to miss tennis, and I will have urge to come back and practice. But no, without confirmed restart, I didn't have any motivation to practice. I didn't hold my racket for 3 months, and I didn't miss it. But now with confirmed dates, I'm finally able to get back to work and start to enjoy this sport again, which is good.
Number 4 is, I was thinking about what made you tweet out this information about the Zoom calls and what was going on, how long they took, what you guys discussed.
I don't know. I was just disappointed. I was not happy with so many informations and decisions received there. I had that feeling that you want to talk, that everybody knows, but on the other hand, I didn't want to give away any details or hints, as it was strictly confidential. Anyway, USTA went all out with information next day or so.
And the second part to that question is, do you think some players are afraid to speak out when they learn this information? Or is there a rule that says they can't talk about these things? Or are some players more rigid about talking about this information because they're afraid they might get in trouble?
I think yes, some might be afraid. It all depends what you say and how you say it. You can choose your words and be neutral and just give some hints away. And I mean, when you're aggressive, then you might get into trouble. Then you have different personalities, right? Some guys are simply shy, and then some guys, they don't care because this is individual sport. They know they have to live with it, so why bother?
Second to last question, how do you think tennis will change after this pandemic? Will it get better? Will it get worse? Will formats get different?
Honestly, I have no idea. Tennis is global sport, so tough to say. I expect prize money decrease, probably some tournaments canceled because of the crisis, and right, biggest challenge will be to have enough tournaments each week, as you can't make calendar for 100 or 200 players. You have to make calendar for like 400, 500 players. So each week you need a couple of ATP tournaments, a couple of challenges, and a couple of futures. Each country has their own rules and regulations regarding COVID. You have to take that into account. So it will be complicated, I guess. I think vaccine will bring everything back to normal, but it will take time for sure.
And my last question for you is, do you feel like your concerns as a player are being heard and are valued by higher-ups on the ATP Tour?
Well, this is again complicated, mainly because of the structure. We have 12 members and 3 player reps, and these guys, we have to trust them, and they make all decisions on behalf of all players. You as an individual, you can have concerns and complaints, but if you're only one, then who cares? Nobody is going to take care when you are only guy having issue with some problem. But if there is a problem which bothers more players and a couple of guys report independently this problem, I mean, it can get noticed. Sometimes you need to come together as a group to be heard. Like recently, lower-ranked players and challenger players wrote the open letter that why there is no player outside top 100 in player council. And that ATP should value challenger players more. My own complaint right now is probably 48 draw on challengers. I think they should ditch this.
So Lukas, I really appreciate you answering these questions for me, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you again for doing this for me.
All right, that's it from me, guys. Please go support Philip and Tweener Head, and take care and stay safe, of course. Bye.